Hey there. Welcome back. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, and it's been a minute since I've had anything to talk to y'all about, mostly because I'm still dealing with some health issues. I don't really need these for anything but reading now because my cataract surgeries were both very successful. But like I said in one of my last videos, when I had my second cataract operation, they discovered that I was in atrial fibrillation, which is a very common heart arrhythmia. It's the most common type of arrhythmia, and I think they said something like millions of people are running around with AFib all the time, and most folks, like me, don't even know about it until they have to get hooked up to an EKG for some reason. Or people who are more prone to actually go see a doctor than me realize that they're tired all the time and don't attribute it to just getting old and being fat like I did and think there might be something wrong. So then they go to the doctor and they get hooked up to an EKG and find out that they have AFib. Well, when last we left our hero, and boy, if I'm your hero, you need better heroes. But not Cyclops. Cyclops is kind of a douche. When last we left our hero, I had undergone what they refer to as a cardioversion and a transesophageal echocardiogram. What that means is that they ran a camera down my esophagus and shot an ultrasound of my heart to make sure there were no clots. Because if there's a clot when you're in AFib and they move you back into normal sinus rhythm, it could throw a clot, which would cause a stroke. And that is, I think the technical term is bad. So there were no clots, so they performed a cardioversion, which is when they zap your heart to try and get you back into sinus rhythm. And it worked for about a week. And then I was back in AFib. And what I'm understanding is that I have probably been in and out of AFib maybe for years, but I have not stayed in AFib long enough to cause any damage to the structures of my heart or change the structure of my heart. If you stay in AFib for a long time, apparently one of the chambers of the heart can get enlarged, which is bad. I don't really know why it's bad, but since it didn't happen to me, I didn't really research it very much to find out why it would be bad. So I went back to my cardiologist, and boy, if you ever want to feel old, say the words "my cardiologist" a couple of times. I went back to a follow-up appointment with my cardiologist, and they now need to do a second, somewhat more invasive procedure to fix my AFib, hopefully for a good long time. Apparently, there is no cure for AFib, atrial fibrillation, but you can be asymptomatic for years or even decades. I've had anecdotal evidence from friends of friends or friends of family members. One friend said their dad had a cardiac ablation 20 years ago and has never gone back into AFib. That's what we're shooting for, by the way. We're going for 20. But this procedure has about a 70% chance of keeping me out of AFib for at least a year. And I think it was maybe a 55 or 60% chance of 5 years. So they're going to perform another procedure, and they're going to do this the week after JordanCon. So this will be the very end of April of this year. What they're going to do, and this is a brand new procedure, they've only had the equipment to do this version of a cardiac ablation in Charlotte at my cardiologist at Novant since the beginning of the year. It was just FDA approved in 2024. So I'll be probably one of the first 100 or so people in Charlotte to have this procedure. That's how many people have AFib. That a brand new procedure, you can get the equipment in January or so, and by the end of April, they'll have done almost 100 of this type of procedure just in this city. This is called a pulsed field ablation. And what it is they will make an incision in my leg near the groin, and they will run catheters up the veins in my leg into my heart. And there's this little hook thing, not hook, there's this little circular thing that'll poop out of the catheter, and they will locate the areas of my heart where the electrical impulses are being sent from my atria to the vein. And what's happening now is that the signals are screwy, and it's getting some bad signals, so it makes the top part of my heart beat really fast. And that's not good, because it should go boom, 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 boom. But it's more like boom, 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 boom. And, if you're Tommy Lee, that's awesome, because, you're thrashing on a kick drum and your floor toms. But I don't want that in my chest. So what they're going to do is they're going to put this teeny tiny coat hanger, basically, up against the parts of my heart where the electrical impulses are transmitting erroneously. And they're going to send pulses of electricity through this little tiny coat hanger and zap the inside of my heart to create scar tissue. That scar tissue will not allow the electrical impulses that aren't supposed to be there to happen. So this version of cardiac ablation apparently has a much lower risk of side effects. The old ways was either they sent a wire up in there and scorched the inside of your heart, which could potentially burn a hole in your heart, and that's bad. Or it could overheat your esophagus because it's transmitting heat throughout there. Also bad. And then the other way is they would run a little balloon up through the catheter and freeze those sections using a cryo balloon thingy. That's a highly technical term, by the way. And that sometimes had bad effects on the phrenic nerve that runs right behind the heart, which apparently controls all sorts of important things. I don't want anything to get all jacked up. I don't really want somebody to shove a coat hanger up my crotch into my heart and electrocute pieces of the inside of my heart to make scars on the inside of my atrium. But that is the best procedure for my version of atrial fibrillation, and my doctor is very experienced. He's my age, and look, I realized something this year, that I've gotten to the point in my life where more of my doctors are younger than me than are older than me, and this is something I'm having kind of a hard time dealing with. I don't mind having the big gray beard, and I don't mind having the gray hair, but man, I don't want to be older than my doctor. But I am older than some of my doctors, and not that they're not qualified or capable. It's just messing with my head a little bit that I've obviously outlived my sell-by date. But my doctor, Dr. Shu, is very confident, very capable, and he also tells me that this, in addition to having lower risk of side effects, this type of ablation also has a much easier recovery and is less painful for recovery. I'm all for that. I mean, I'm 51 years old. Everything already hurts. Every morning I find something new. That's what's going on with my wrist, by the way. I jacked up something in this part of my hand, and I have no flippin' idea what I did. I woke up one morning and my hand hurt. So I wear a wrist brace some of the time, and because I'm in my 50s and things just mysteriously hurt now. So that's what's going on health-wise. I expect everything to be fine. I figure by the time you see me at Con Carolinas in June, everything will be great and I'll be back to my normal I don't have any idea how to actually pronounce the word ebullient. Effervescent. My typical effervescent self. In other words, I'll be running around swearing at people and trying to sell a lot of books. So I'll be back making more industry videos, making more videos on editorial, and making more videos where I dress up like a Pokemon and read new releases because, I don't know, I thought it was funny. So if you get a chance to come out and see us at a convention, please do. I love meeting all y'all. And if you want to know more about AFib or pulsed field ablation, there are some really good videos on YouTube by people who know more than I do. But once I get through this, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, and just hit me up in the comments below. And while you're at it, ring the bell to get notified, like, subscribe, buy a book, go to our Shopify, buy some stuff. I still have two hungry cats, one of whom is not just hungry, but also fat. So I got cats to feed. Y'all need to buy some books. Peace out.